Okay, so we're going to talk about angles of elevation and depression. So let's start with an angle of elevation. If you're going to have an angle of elevation, it's going to have to go from your line of sight, which is straight forward, as if you were just looking straight ahead. And then elevation means you're looking up. So say that I'm looking up at the sky at a bird. This right here would be my angle of elevation. Now, angle of depression is a little bit different. Depression means down, so this is actually going to be an angle going down. So let's say that we had an airplane up in the sky, woo, fancy airplane, and it was looking down at a house. So again, it has to go from the line of sight, it has to go from straight forward, a horizontal line, then it has to go down to that house. So this right here would be an angle of depression. Whenever we're working with angles of elevation and depression, we're actually going to be using our trig functions to either find a missing side or try to find how far up this plane was, or we can actually use this to find missing angles if we have the angle of elevation or depression missing. So the best way to learn this is by doing some practice problems. I always think these are fun because you'll get to draw pictures. So our first one's going to be about a mouse. And let me switch sides. So a mouse is sitting 10 feet from the base of a tree. If the angle of elevation from the mouse to the top of the tree is 40 degrees, how tall is the tree? Step 1, you want to draw a picture. So I know that there's a mouse sitting 10 feet from the base of the tree. So I'm going to draw some ground. 10 feet away is going to be this little bitty mouse. There we go. It says the angle of elevation from the mouse to the top of the tree is 40 degrees. So here's the mouse looking forward, and then that angle of elevation is going to go up to the top of that tree. So this angle is 40 degrees. We want to find out how tall the tree is. Notice whenever you draw your angle of elevation that it creates a right triangle. This is a right angle. So we are going to use a trig function to find out how tall that tree is. So we have the side opposite of the angle, and we have the side adjacent to the angle. Opposite, adjacent. I'm going to use the tangent. So the tangent of 40 degrees is equal to my opposite, which is x, over my adjacent, which is 10. Now I need to solve this for x, so I'm going to multiply by 10 on both sides. And then in our handy dandy calculators, we're going to do 10 times tangent of 40. And I get 8.39 whenever I round. So that means that this tree right here is 8.39 feet. So this is an example of an angle of elevation. Now let's try an example of an angle of depression. This one's going to be about a turtle. A turtle is 40 meters away from the base of a cliff. If you were standing on top of the cliff, the angle of depression from you to the turtle is 65 degrees. How tall is the cliff? So we have a cliff that we're standing on top of. Whoopee. And then it says that there's a turtle 40 meters from the base. So here's the base of our cliff. We're going to go out 40 meters. And here's our turtle. The angle of depression from you to the turtle is 65 degrees. So remember, to do depression, you're going to go straight out and then down. So that's an angle of depression. It wants us to find how tall the cliff is. So notice right here we have a right triangle. But look at our angle up here. Our angle is outside of the triangle. Make sure you don't make this the angle of depression. The angle of depression always has to go from horizontal to down. But if you notice, we have a horizontal line here and a horizontal line here. These lines are actually going to be parallel. So that means that the 65 degrees could also go here because these are alternate interior angles. The angle of depression and the angle of elevation are always going to be the same. So now we can see our angle. We have our side opposite and our side adjacent. So we're going to use the tangent to figure out how tall this cliff is. So the tangent of 65 is equal to x over 40. Opposite over adjacent. Now we need to solve this, so we're going to multiply by 40 on both sides. In our calculator, we're going to do 40 times the tangent of 65, and we get 85.78 meters. All right, your homework is to create your own angle of elevation or angle of depression problem to solve in class.